All right, we are kind of in the halfway point of season 1 of Severance. Bit of an intro before we actually continue into the 5th episode, because there are a couple of things that I do want to talk about, specifically things that happen in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th episode that I didn't really talk about during those episode review and discussions, because I was in the middle of editing the 2nd episode, and there's a couple of details while I was editing, because look, like when you're editing a full episode reaction to YouTube, practically speaking, I am just rewatching the episode at that point. So second viewing, if you will, obviously I'm gonna notice a few things that I might have glanced over during my first viewing, because it is what it is. It's not like you're gonna get every juicy detail on your first viewing, except if you're like film buff, for example. I don't know how he does it. But great reaction channel, by the way. Go check him out. But a couple of things that I noticed in my second episode viewing, if you will, mostly attributed to Helly as a character, because it's the line where Milchick says, when we verbatim, but not verbatim, paraphrasing, mix the two, but paraphrasing Milchick, he when he was talking to Helly, when Helly was trying to get out of the severed floor, Milchick basically mentioned something along the lines of, when we heard that you wanted to come here, it was like a miracle, right? Begs the question, who is Helly? What does he mean? Why is it that Helly applying to Lumen, specifically on the severed floor, be considered a miracle? What's going on here, right? It's a really fascinating development, and a really fascinating question itself, right? Why? What is so special about Helly, right? Because Helly herself is already like probably one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character aside from Mark. Just because of her overall situation within the story, this character whose Itty absolutely does not want to be here, whilst her outie is forcing her to stay there and whatever. Like, who is she, right? Why does she want to be here? Why is she so important, right? That's like the main takeaway here. Why is she so important? That's the thing that's been driving me, kind of like thinking about it time and time again. Like, why? Why is she so important? Why is she a miracle? Going back a couple of minutes before that, in the second episode still, there is that moment when Milchick and Helly, before Helly officially signs into Lumen, before Helly officially, undergo the severance procedure, English, I don't, what happened? Severance procedure, procedure, oh my god, I cannot speak. I can't speak today, I don't know why. But during that moment, apologize about the little tangent there, but during that moment, right, they both were looking at the etchings of the one of the Egans. I think it's like the founder. I am forgetting about this specific detail. But yeah, the both of them are looking at the giant Egan head within Lumen, and then they were talking about like, oh, his like favorite breakfast and the eggs and and whatever, and it was like very specific, but it's also very personal, like personally specific in regards to like, oh, do you know about like his favorite breakfast where he likes to do this and that and that, very specific, mind you, again. And Helly's like, yeah, I've heard. I don't know about you guys, but looking back at that moment, it does feel kind of weird. first time viewing, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like she probably heard about it, on a Wikipedia article or whatever, because it's like an important character, if you will, right? Like one of the founder of Lumen, or whatever, right? But looking back again, like it's not like this very specific information is commonly, this does not feel like common knowledge, if you will, especially for a character who seemingly from the outside just want to be in Lumen, right? Like, this is not information that you've heard if you're a normal character, right? But we know Helly is not a normal character. She's a miracle. Begs the question again, right? Who is she? And why is she important? And what is her connection to the Egans? That's the thing, though. Because throughout, like, the second, third, and fourth episodes, there are a couple of moments where the more I think about it, the more they're like clever allusions to who she is and why she's connected to the Egans. Because when they finally reached the I'm forgetting the room, but when they reach the room where they look at the history of the Egans, and we got all of the Egans, the statue, the wax statue or whatever, lying in place, and Irving was just introducing, this is the current CEO of Lumen, James Egan, and whatever. There was a very specific shot, very specific, where the only character that we actually see their kind of reactions of, a reaction shot, if you will, was Helly's. As they are moving past James Egan's like wax statue, Helly was the only one who's like looking at him. And as she moves away, the camera pans to like the text behind her that says, like, a part of history is within you, whether you learn it or not, or whatever, something along those lines. And I'm like, are they implying what I think they're implying? Is she who I think she is? And this is before Harmony. This is the other scene that caught my attention, because Harmony drops a name in episode 3 where she was almost kind of, when the other girl appears, right? I'm forgetting her name, but when the other girl appears that was on the TV discussing about like the severance procedure and whatever, Harmony basically said, "Oh, is this about Helena?" And then that name was never mentioned again. Who is Helena? No, you know what I mean? Like, who is she? Why is Harmony actually concerned about this Helena character who we have never seen before? And as far as I remember, that is the only time that we have heard that name be spoken. But who has a very similar name to Helena? You guessed it. Is Helly? I mean, I don't. It's very good. It's a very interesting thought, because the possibility is right there. Now, we don't know if Helena is an Egan, right? Helena Egan. We don't know that. We only know Helena is just Helena. But we also know that Helly is supposed to be just Helly, right? If I remember the first episode correctly, Helly is Helly. But Helly could also just be a nickname of Helena, you know? Like Mark and Marky, for example, like Marky, or I don't know, man. I think I think Helly might actually be an Egan. It's a crazy thought, but I think she might be an Egan. Like she might actually be a person. But I mean, even that, right? Even that kind of theory, it even begs the question of like, why would she do this in the first place? Like she's not supposed to. She doesn't have to. But that's like the first thing that kind of caught my attention the most, because that was the thing while I was editing the video. When I reached the point when I was editing, the Helly milkshake scene when Helly was kind of trying to go away, and I was like, wait a minute, what does he mean by that? What do you mean miracle? And that kind of got me into the rabbit hole of like searching for more details about Helly, and now I've reached this conclusion. Again, don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. Don't allude to anything in the comments that could possibly, don't even hint that I'm right or wrong, because sometimes people can, sometimes it's very annoying. Sometimes people will comment something along the lines of like, putting a timestamp and then having, eye emojis, like, ooh, and at that point, that is not subtle. Okay, guys, that is not subtle. That is you specifically pointing out what I just said and you guys giving a reaction to it. And if you guys gave a reaction to something that I say, usually that alludes to what I am saying could be correct. I know it's a tough thing to say. It's a tough ask, because obviously a lot of, I react to the show, you guys react to my reaction and whatever, and it's always, nice to see people, talk and discuss and whatever, but sometimes at the, it's kind of tiring, because, I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. This kind of happened, in some of the other reaction series that I've done, like, let's say, like Breaking Bad and even Dark to an extent, where some people go, ooh, interesting thought you have there. I don't know. I actually don't know how to actually, how to address all of this, if I'm being honest, but yeah, it's just don't go too ham on the spoilers. Try to be, well, just don't confirm or deny. That's pretty much it. just I don't know. Another thing that caught my attention. This is during around the same time when Harmony was talking to the board. Around the same time when Harmony dropped the Helena name, the name drop. Because Harmony was talking to the board about like trying to get PD's like chip, right? That was like the whole scene in general. But it's when the girl said to Harmony that, paraphrasing again, but this is something that you should know. This is information that you should know as someone who is managing a severed floor. A severed floor, not the severed floor. A severed floor. In fact, I'm just gonna try to open the episode. Actually, it's a lot easier if I just did that. Hang on, give me a sec. Because it is an interesting thought, right? It is an interesting thought. It is a very specific. It's the wording is very specific. Again, type of show where specificity is key. The severance procedure is provenly irreversible, which we know is which we know is false at this point because of PD, right? How did PD do it? We still don't know yet. And this is knowledge that should be given for a person managing a severed floor. Emphasis on a severed floor. Now I might be reaching here, but this feels like they are alluding to possible multiple floors, possible severed floors. Because if there's only one severed floor, she could have just said the severed floor. But she's saying a severed floor. A. Now, I am just realizing that she could also just be alluding to the fact that there are multiple Lumen buildings across the globe, across, the US and whatever, and there's like other severed floors out there, so it would, that could also work. That could also make sense. So we're still working on one floor, but like, it is something that I am currently theorizing. What if there's multiple severance floors? What if there is a severed floor within the severed floor? What if your innie can undergo what if your innie can undergo the severance procedure? I can't. Why can't I say that word today? It's driving me nuts. But like, what if that is that even possible? You know what I mean? Like, sure, you got your Audi, and your Audi has done your severance procedure, and now you got your innie. But can your innie undergo another severance procedure? How deep can it go? Is that possible? Right? Kind of thinking about like the 7 layers of hell and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if there's like an even deeper, like, how deep does it go? Like, something that is more secretive, that only, a very specific select few are allowed, to undergo, right? Because, like, they've already alluded. I mean, in fact, they've already briefly mentioned, the idea that there are people who may work in the severance floor forever, like a forever innie, like that's their life. That's it. No more Audi. Like the Audi's dead, and the only one who survives is the innie. It's the reverse situation on what they were discussing about when the reverse situation on what Mark was discussing with Helly in regards to, hey, if you quit your job, you're essentially killing yourself, right? Because your innie would be dead, essentially. The memories that you have as an innie will be gone. You're as good as dead. And the only one who survives is going to be the Audi, and the Audi will have no memories of whatever happened in the innie, right? Whatever happened inside, I mean. But of course, what if there's an inverse to that? The outside self dies, and what remains is the innie. And that is the thing that I feel, and I'm still putting my foot on this. I still feel like that is what happened to Mark's wife, Gemma. That is still like a theory that I'm still holding on to since like day one. Like, I don't think she's dead. I don't think she's dead. I think she might be somewhere here, She might be somewhere here. But speaking of Mark's dead wife, speaking of that traumatic experience, the last episode ended on a very interesting moment, because I briefly talk about it, but I never really think about it. And that is, Mark was sculpting the tree, right? While he was in the perpetuity, while he was, having this counseling, if you will. um he's not supposed to have that, that memory, you know? Because while I was watching the scene in episode 4, I was like, it's the tree of that we saw before, right? With the police line, and kind of, very strongly, the strong implication of like that's probably where his wife died, probably during a car crash and whatever, car accident, probably, who knows, but strong implications there, right? That's why he goes there to grieve, right? But that's not Audi Mark who's sculpting the tree. That's the Ini Mark doing it. How does that happen? It goes into the question, or goes into the idea that the Ini and the Audi are actually more similar than you think. There is some form of deep connection there between the two characters, between Ini Mark and Audi Mark, like on a psychological level, or on a subconscious level, like that feeling of grief remains. And I find that to be very interesting and also like very touching, because it's like it doesn't matter who you are as a person. It doesn't matter what kind of existence you have right now. This very specific feeling of grief, sorrow, and love, right? His love for his wife has persevered and has stayed within him in both quote unquote universes, in both realities, in both the Ini and the Audi. I find that to be very fascinating. I really love that. Didn't really, again, like that was something that kind of, that I kind of glossed over while I was watching the, episode 4. But again, like now looking back at it, it was like, oh, wait a minute, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's like a bunch more stuff in Severance so far that's like that I do want to talk about, but I feel like I've already talked a lot before we actually began the 5th episode, so I'll just keep it at that. I feel like those were the main things that I want to let out, that I want to, tell you guys before we continue, because I got to tell you guys, like, somehow, I was kind of debating if I want to talk about these things within each episode, in like episode 2 or 3 or 4, but at the same time I feel like if I talk about, let's say, like the stuff with Milchik and Helly in the 2nd episode, I feel like I also have to talk about the stuff that happened in the 3rd episode, which means that I need to, I don't know, the review portion would not flow well, because if I already talk about the 3rd episode in the 2nd episode, then what am I supposed to talk about in the 3rd episode? Do I just repeat things that I said in the 2nd episode? You know what I mean? So here we go. Here we are. I just laid out all of the new things that I kind of discovered whilst I was editing and rewatching the episodes. So that's it. If you have stayed around for the preamble before we continue on with the show, with the 5th episode, then thank you for for watching this. I know, like review portions usually don't get much views. Most of you probably just kind of skip this whole thing and jump on to the 5th episode. But yeah. Oh man, I love this show so much, man. It's great. It's, again, like I haven't felt like this since Dark, for the channel specifically, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy to to watch a show and actually feel fun, not just while watching it, but also while reviewing it, because there's like a lot of things that could be discussed, a lot of things that could be discovered, new details that I may have missed in the previous episodes that I will talk about much later throughout the show. It's just great. It's just great. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy the reaction. And I will see you after the reaction for more reviews. Oh no, the security's not there.
Ellie?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Helly's gonna be fine, but like, the consequences though. Mark, come on. Oh.
Jesus. Help! Help! Is she okay?
Interesting. Oh, I love the way. I mean, where were you, dude?
Judd?
Mr. Scott, you have a good evening.
Judd. But no. It's interesting that Kramer. It's interesting that he does not want Mark to, to witness this. I mean, sure, you could just say, like, it's your time. You need to move and whatever. But at the same time, like Dylan's still in the office. So this is not a matter of like, oh, you need to get out of here because your time is up. No, this is a matter of like, no, you don't want to see this. You're not supposed to see this. I'm also curious, like, how I wonder how the memories are going to work in this situation, right? Because Helly on the her Audi just experienced for like a fraction, like being hanged. Any Mark's gonna immediately just be frantic, like Helly, you know what I mean? Yep, here we go. I mean it has been a day.
She's in the hospital. She has severe bruising, but thankfully no permanent damage.
Okay.
This happened on your watch, Marcus.
It's your responsibility.
And you can thank Kier himself it went the way it did. Have a productive day.
Kier. That's the guy whose face is in the wall, right? I was forgetting his name while I was talking during the intro. Oh, beautiful shot.
What is it to fail?
Oh.
My failure to break into the literary world in my 20s was devastating. What separates man from machine is that machines cannot think for themselves. Also, they are made of metal, whereas man is made of skin. If you are a soldier, do not fight for my freedom.
Oh, I love the editing
Make
here.
the war more inspiring for you both. Bullies are nothing but bull and lies at the center of industry.
This feels like I am 14 and this is deep levels of like philosophy, but
Alma's memory was reintegrated. You were right, Harmony. We should celebrate. Jesus, you haven't told them.
Please find out who did this. I'd like to deliver everything to the board at once.
who indeed?
Look, I'm sorry about the other night.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
She's doing great,
Yeah?
by the way, yeah.
Okay.
Contractions are about 20 minutes apart, so we still have some time.
Yuck. Wow.
Dude, did you see the one next door?
Yeah.
It's like psychotically expensive.
I feel hurt that you haven't called me to thank me for the book yet. Whew. There, good.
The book?
We left a copy of his new book on your doorstep.
5 days ago, 5 full days.
No, don't worry. The book is in the right hands.
Mark, would you help me hang the kelp?
Hang the kelp? Why?
Do you really want me to explain it?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm another pregnant lady. I'm from over there. I just came out on a coffee run, and I got distracted by your beautiful coffee, and I was wondering if there's any chance you could hook me up.
Hi, thank you so much.
Something's off.
Squeeze right past you.
If the thief reads the book, it will have been worth it. In fact, I bet you he turns himself in afterward. I know the last time you were in a medical facility was for Gemma.
Gemma. Gemma. I called her Gemma.
Need me to tell a secret?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me your dark shit.
I kind of think Lumen might be up to something.
What do you mean?
He's not wrong.
Like with your paychecks?
He's not wrong. Be careful what you say, though, because they might be, you know, listening, you know? Oh. The cut from the tree to Mark. Beautiful. Death and rebirth.
She was in Audi form at the time.
I'm gonna pass out. That's so
this
funny.
will be Innie Helly's first conscious experience since the hanging. Do you know how to make your eyes kind?
He's trying his best. He's trying his best, guys. He's so stiff. Oh man, I mean, very understandable though. Oh. Yeah.
So they locked away the extension cords and other dangerous items, so, you know, you should be safe. And if you want to focus on looking for happy numbers for a while, that's fine.
Laugh to cope.
It would not me, though, because I already contributed the idea. It's only fair.
Miss Casey.
I'm here to observe Heliar.
Miss Casey.
Upon request, I can also perform a hug.
You know, I've been exhibiting signs of sadness. Could I get one of those?
No.
Dylan. Dylan just wants a hug, man. Just noticed her pen is just a teardrop. Ow. Is Irving gonna see? Whoa. Yep. Why is it always a black goo for him? What's the significance of that? It's gotta be a personal trauma thing. Because he's the only one who's experiencing this specific, this specific visual representation of his emotion, of his psyche.
Irv?
I have to go to O&D. Something's come up.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's go there. Yeah, let's continue on where we left off in the previous episode. That's not what he tried to copy.
I'm sorry, Irving. We must have sent this print job here by mistake. You weren't supposed to see this.
What are these?
From OND.
It's ironclad proof.
Milchick says it didn't happen. And why would one department physically attack another? Lumen wouldn't just then give them all the other departments'
I like how Irv
Does O&D know that?
actually talks to Dylan about
You
this.
even sure about it? Because with 7 people, there is a lot that they could do to us.
Because he could have just... Irving could have just accepted Milchick's words and then be done with it. But no, he actually went to Dylan for further, opinions. I like that.
I saw Miss Casey down there. You're having her watch Heliar.
I'm trying something new with Miss Casey. Keep it between us.
So it's not specifically For Helly. No, this is actually an experiment for Miss Casey instead. Didn't thought about that before. So now I'm wondering what is Miss Casey's significance? Oh man. Just a constant reminder that you cannot die. Your failed suicide attempt.
Please describe for me your time in the restroom.
Oh, no.
Good job, Mark.
So sorry, Miss Casey. Ugh.
You know, I go to distribution supply so I could.
Dylan, my guy. Oh man.
Oh, that's one less horrible thing.
Oh.
Helly, I just realized I haven't shown you where we keep the extra pen caps. It's not far, do you mind?
I'm good, thanks.
No. Spend more time with them. Come on.
Shouldn't go anywhere without Miss Casey.
No, look at this, Mark. Feeling a bit rebellious, are we?
Careful out there, boss. Weird energy about.
Dylan supporting it as well. I love it. Miss Casey just brought like a full stack of it. Just to be sure, just to be, you know. What is Bert doing? No. What is Bert doing?
I'm really bad, Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing.
Come here.
Whoa. Whoa. Oh, look at this.
I'm not your new PD.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, I mean, Mark did say that you're just a replacement. To be fair, in the first episode, though, a lot has changed.
Mark took her to look at pen caps.
Where? Now.
They're fine.
Just at the end of the storage wing.
Virtue in the conference room.
Oh, you sneaky bastard. She knows that Irving's gonna...
I was looking for you. I hadn't heard from you.
Okay.
Well, I was... Ah! Dylan, oh my God! What are you doing?
He was coming at you.
Let him out!
Let him out.
Let him out!
The fuck is he here? You saw that painting? You want to get disemboweled today? Hey, where's your friends? Plural. As in the 6 fucking people you've been hiding from us.
Oh my word! I need a manager. Irving, wait! Don't go.
Helly?
Dude, a lot of things are happening in this episode.
Helly!
Oh, look at this, though. Into the darkness, into the abyss.
Where the fuck are we?
Where indeed?
What I want is for her to wake up while the life drains out of her and to know it was me who did it.
What the fuck? Oh no. Oh hell no. No.
Why not come right to the office? I didn't know why you hadn't been back, and I didn't want to scare you again, like with the hand thing. You didn't scare me or embarrass you. Look, I was working out a joke.
I feel like it's more that Bert himself is also scared to go there.
Why did you lie about the number of people in your department?
Good question.
According to some, you each have a larval offspring that will jump out and attack if we get too close.
Psycho.
I mean, it's a joke, of course, but I don't know. The sentiment, somehow holds. People are weird. Though I'd be remiss not to say that in this theory, the larva eventually eats and replaces you.
Dylan's so confused. This part is unexpected. This part right here. Like what is this? Okay. Lab goats, lab sheeps, analogous to the workers here, the people, our characters.
They're not ready. You can't take them yet. They're not ready. Oh,
But get the hell out of here. Go! The grim Barbarity, optics and design.
That's
Okay.
what he said.
There's definitely no painting by that name.
He's tied. Poor bird.
Would you like to come in? There is something in the storeroom I'd like to show you.
Ooh. Ooh.
And Dylan, of course.
Oh, Dylan's allowed to come in. Okay.
Makes you wonder how something could be wrong if Kier
Get away from him.
Dylan, what?
You lying fuck.
Dylan!
He claims he doesn't know about this painting. Meanwhile, it's sitting right there on his shelf.
Look at the badges the Raiders are wearing. That's not O&D, Dylan. It's us.
Ah.
Why the hell would there be two versions of the same painting?
Two versions. Two sides. Oh, beautiful.
What if the goats are the numbers? If you give me the map, I'll clean it up. Your drawing is shit.
Miss Casey?
Oh, hi, Miss Casey.
You're both unhurt. We are.
Unhurt.
I'm glad. I was scared.
Which implies that
I forgive you.
what else is in this floor? What other dangerous things are actually in here?
You aware what MDR is up to right now?
I thought that's what you were paid for.
You're not stopping it.
The surest way to tame a prisoner is to let him believe he's free.
There's a Kier quote for everything.
Yes, Daddy. You can talk to me when you figure out who hacked Kilmer's chip.
Okay.
They're from MDR. They're friends.
That's it? Oh. I mean, we didn't really get much of optics and design in the sense that we didn't really continue much from the previous episode. But Helly and Mark roaming through, the dark corridors. What is up with the goats? Are they goats or sheeps? Goats. Right. But what is up with that? Fascinating. And then Miss Casey as well? Harmony is doing this for Miss Casey and not actually for Helly? I mean, also for Helly, but like, Miss Casey is also like, Casey is also like, part of it, if you will. Fascinating. And that was season 1, episode 5 of Severance. Here we are, folks. Halfway point of the first season. And oh boy. A lot of new discoveries in this episode. A lot of new things happening. Goats. What's up with that? You know what I mean? But yeah, this episode. Okay, where do we begin? Let's start with that. Well, let's actually just start with the very beginning of the episode, right? We continue on where we left off with the previous episode. With Helly's failed attempt at suicide, but it's just this really, it's a really hard situation for her. It's also like a really, it's a really touchy subject as well, because look, obviously I am very glad that she survived this, like very super happy that her suicide attempt failed, because I don't want her to die. I don't want anybody to die. Just suicides in general is just like a really sad thing to think about if I'm being honest here, like, but there is a certain sadness to to her situation, especially during the scene when she's looking at the mirror in the bathroom and just seeing like the markings on her neck. Like, it's just going to be a constant reminder that she cannot choose to die, and she is going to be here forever. This is her life. Like, even at her own choice to end her life, she is thwarted by the company. You know, and in many such situations, in many such cases, that's a good thing. But in the case of Severance, in the case of her character, you know, contextually, if you look at like the overall grand scheme of things, you know, it's a really sad moment because obviously she doesn't want to be here, right? Again, it's a very touchy subject, but it's, at the end of the day, it is going against her wishes, right? Now, her wishes obviously is not something that I would personally approve of, but at the same time, when the choice is either to live in hell forever or to die, you know, to end it all, you know, like, it's a pretty tough choice, right? And the fact that she is now, she feels like she is being punished, right? She feels like she is being punished here, that she's gonna be stuck in hell forever, right? In the severed floor, and there's no way out. She can't even end her life. She can't even just, you know, like, that was like her final option, right? If she can't, if her Audi is refusing to, you know, to end the contract or whatever, what other choice does she have? And it seems like her final last resort is, you know, it failed essentially, right? And it's why I'm really happy that Mark is there for her. And you know, speaking of Mark, this episode I feel like is the most that I have seen him develop as a character. Mark, I mean, because this is the episode where I am truly seeing that Mark is not only showing, you know, super concern for for his colleague, right, for Helly, but also he is now initiating, hey, you know, let's just get out, you know, you know, let's not concern ourselves with Miss Casey here, you know, let's go out, you know, let's do something outside of company, you know, rules and protocols, you know. And it's this bonding between him and Helly that I really, really love, that I really enjoy. Potential romance, but you know, potentially, like, I could absolutely see that, although there's an asterisk to that, which we will get to eventually during my discussion here. But not only that, but also just like the camaraderie in general between MDR, because Dylan got their backs, you know, like when Miss Casey came back and like, hey, where are they, you know, like Dylan was there first to say like, hey, they're fine, you know, don't worry about them, you know. Yeah, he mentioned that they went outside, you know, like they, you know, took a stroll, you know, a mental health walk, if you will, you know, as Mark puts it. But you know, he was the one who said, hey, don't worry about them, they're fine, you know, like, don't pester them, you know. And I love that. I love that Dylan actually, you know, kind of stood up for them. And Irving as well, you know, Irving, Mr. Praise the Egans, abide the laws of the company here, is also like, you know, you know, helping Mark and Helly, you know. I mean, he didn't do much, but it's the thought that counts, right? It's him not really presenting these two characters in a negative light towards Miss Casey. And I love that. But speaking of Miss Casey, this episode, they are doing something with her. Like, not only is she outside of her initial well, her initial office space. She is there. She is put in MDR. Not so that she can just supervise Helly, not that she could just, write a report on her for Harmony, for Miss Coble. No. She is put there because Miss Coble wants her there. Miss Coble has other plans. Harmony has other plans for this. I keep going back and forth between Harmony and Coble. I think I'll just call her. I still don't know what's like. Do people call her Harmony more, or do people call her Coble more? I'll stick with Miss Coble, actually, because, Miss Coble, she puts her there for a reason. Skimming through the episode to find the exact scene and her actual line of dialogue. I'm trying something new with Miss Casey. Why? That immediately, as I mentioned during the reaction, that made me go, okay, what is Miss Casey's importance? What's up with her? Why her specifically? Trying something new with Miss Casey? What? You're letting her out of her room? Is that it? What is she to you, Miss Coble? What is her importance? Because Miss Coble didn't talk about Helly in that regard when Milchick talked to her, I mentioned very early on in the series that there is a very high potential that Gemma might actually be alive, right? That is a theory that I have talked about that could potentially be the case, because you never know. In a world where you can alter memories, anything can happen, not just on the inside, but on the outside as well. If that is the case, and if that is true, there is only one character throughout the show that could potentially be Mark's wife, Gemma, and that is Miss Casey. The thing is, that theory has no foundation at all for the time being, so I'm not gonna pursue it, but she's like the only character who fits the bill, right? Because we already saw Helly's outie, so we know Helly's outie is alive, and there really isn't any other female characters within the cast of Severance that is on the inside, aside from maybe like the ones from OND. But I feel like they're either one of them is too old to be Mark's wife, and I didn't really look at like the rest of them, and I feel like they would be like minor characters, so there wouldn't be any significance. I don't know. Point is, if this theory ever comes into fruition, Miss Casey is like prime candidate to actually be Mark's wife. Because she's the only one, as far as I am concerned, who we never really, well, apart from like the people, no, never mind. She is actually the only one that we have not seen or have any full confirmation of her outies, if you get what I'm saying. Like, we know the people at MDR have outies. We've seen Mark's, we've seen Mark, we've seen Helly. Irving is the one. Irving and Dylan, even though we have not seen them yet, but Irving has been told about it, and so it's only also natural that Dylan also has one. Like Dylan already talked about it during like one of their little group meetups with the ball, if I remember correctly. We know Mr. Milchick is not affected by this. We know Miss Kobold / Harmony / Mrs. Selvig is not affected by this. Grainer. We know he's also probably not affected by this as well. The people at MDR, Bert specifically, I mean, Bert was talking to Miss Casey before Irving, so clear that it's clear to me that Bert and let's just say the rest of MDR also has people on the outside. Miss Casey, on the other hand, the one who actually knows about the people on the outside, who are the ones who's conducting all of these little therapy sessions, if you will. She's the only one that we haven't really seen yet. So yeah, that's like the part that's like kind of suspicious for me. Again, like still a working theory. She's the only candidate if this theory is actually, correct or anything. But yeah, remains to be seen. Because obviously at this point, the fact that it's the fact that Harmony talked to Milchick about like, oh yeah, I'm trying something new with Miss Casey. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? New in what way? New in a experimentation kind of way? Who knows? Speaking of experimentations, what are those goats, man? What are those goats? Okay, so bombshell reveal of this episode: the goats. What is Lumen up to? What is the severed floor hiding? What is going on here? And who is that feeding the goats? It's just a one-man band just giving them milk. What are the goats? Genuinely, that's like the part that kind of blew my mind, because I wasn't expecting other creatures, other beings aside from humans within the severed floor. Now we got goats. Baby goats at that, like little goats. They're not ready yet, so he says. Ready for what? What are they cooking? See, that's the thing, right? Now I'm thinking about like Helly's very first, one of Helly's like very first statements or questions to Mark in the very first episode. Am I livestock? Are they? Okay? This is going into the realm of science fiction that is beyond the levels that the show has showed me thus far, but are they actually making, is Lumen actually making like human cattle? Like the goats are gonna, is that possible? I don't know. Okay, this is the more outlandish theory. This is the more, outside the realm of actual possibilities thus far, because we haven't really seen much of what Lumen can do. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like what Helly said is kind of foreshadowing, because I'm also kind of looking back at like the moment when Mark was making the tree in the previous episode, but we know that Mark shouldn't have had that memory of the tree, and yet he makes it anyways, because the tree obviously is is a memory or a representation, or the tree is obviously the memory of his wife, right? The tree, right? The place that he, his grief, if you will. I don't know, man. Maybe outside Helly, who could also be Helena, who could also be connected to an Egan, knows about what Lumen is actually doing, and so that part of her psyche is sipping through the psyche of her innie, and so her innie blurted out the words, "Am I livestock?" in the very beginning of episode 1 to Mark, because that is actually the truth, and that Lumen is actually creating human livestock by creating goats, and then they evolutionize them into humans. I don't know. Again, I don't think this is the case. I'm still trying to figure out like what the goats are supposed to be. What are they doing with the goats? But the livestock question, the livestock comment from the first episode from Helly, nonetheless, is kind of it's kind of much to think about. Much to think about, but beyond all of that, O&D, optics and design. So in this episode, something that I find to be very interesting is this painting, right? This image of, I guess, the what did Dylan describe it as? The coup of OND. But OND also has a copy of it, but instead OND's copy is MDR. And so we have two paintings depicting two different stories, two different histories, right? Two sides, two versions, very thematic when it comes to the show. So what is actually Lumen doing here? Because first of all, the painting within OND being stored, that makes sense, right? It's just like, yeah, it's another painting that is just there, archival purposes, whatever. The painting that, or the image that was sent to MDR, that is purposefully sent. I don't care if Milchick says, oh yeah, it's a mistake, we probably sent it by mistake. I'm sorry, Irv, don't think about it too much. No big deal. Like, no, shut the fuck up, you fucking piece of shit. Like, I know. I don't trust Milchick because Milchick is the only 3 characters in the show that we know retains memories, right? That is not affected by the severed floor whatsoever. Milchick, Kobel, Grainer, and I guess the girl that we saw in in episode 3, right? The one with the curly hair that was speaking to the TV. That yeah, I don't trust Milchick. I don't. Whatever he says, I'm not gonna buy it. That image was purposefully sent to MDR to purposefully incite a feeling, an opinion, right, to stir how they feel about other departments. But the feeling that is being stirred here is negative, right? Case in point with Dylan. Dylan's like, oh no, OND, they're the bad guys. They're the ones who wanted to take over Lumen. They're the ones who started the coup in the first place. But now, I'm pretty sure OND probably has the same feelings for MDR, right? Like, no, you guys were the ones who started the coup, right? It begs the question, why? It's always why, right? It's always what and why. But why is Lumen doing this? Because this is purposeful. This is not an accident. This is purposeful. Lumen is purposefully making these two organizations hate each other, and I feel, especially with the revelation of the goats, I feel like they are doing this, especially for OND and MDR, because those are the two departments that have a couple of people in them, right? We don't know, how many people are tending the goats, but thus far, only one. We've only seen one person, right? So, I think they're doing this on purpose so that these people don't want to interact with one another. Like, Lumen is purposely creating a divide between MDR and OND, simply so that these two departments will not only interfere with each other, but they will also not know what the other departments are doing. Right? Secrecy. Right? Only issue here, one person from O&D and one person from MDR are kind of into each other. Good on them, but it's also the reason, right? And now that I'm thinking about it, it's like also the reason why relationships within the severed floor is kind of forbidden, right? Irving's the one who said it, right? Irving, the guy who's like, oh, we gotta follow the rules, Again, which kind of shows like how a lot of these characters don't really actually trust the rules of Lumen. They're hypocrites in they're themselves. But now we are in this situation, right? At the end of this episode, we are in this situation where we got people from NDR, Irving and Dylan, probably the two characters that should be in the situation right now, because Helly and Mark, I feel like, them going against Lumen is pretty much like straightforward at this point. Like that's their trajectory. We know that for sure. You know what I mean? Like them going against Lumen, that's always going to be the case. Dylan and Irv, they need some convincing, right? They need to, to actually have this sort of drive to actually go against the company, because these two have no reason to go against the company at this point, which is why them meeting with O&D might be a good opportunity for them to actually, come and figure out like, hey, what is going on here? What's going on? Why do we have two images that are different? Why is Lumen trying to make a divide between the two of us, right? Work it out, find a reason why. They have their own subplot, right? And hopefully and potentially they will be on our side as well, on Mark and Helly's, in that, okay, Lumen is doing something wrong here, something fishy, something crazy. We need to figure out what it is, which will probably escalate and snowball into an actual coup, which, prophetic if you ask me. So yeah, there is that. I love that development. Cannot wait to see more of that. What else do I want to say? I'll end the discussion by saying that I also love Rickon's book. I that whole scene, I need to talk about that scene just for a little bit, but the scene where Mark is actually reading the book and he's looking at like the Rickon's like text and whatever, what he wrote, and it's like this very profound, proses and very profound, like, statements and whatever, philosophical quotes, if you will, and it's something so I would say surface level, to the point of hilarious, because it's something like in the middle of industry, there is dust or something. Like, look, man. As I said what I said in the reaction, the quotes gives off, I am 14 and this is deep, but it's very purposely supposed to be that way, because Rickon's not really supposed to be this really, this profound professor genius who wrote this book. But it is so funny and it is so great and beautiful that these, I would say, these like Twitter quotes, if you will, that's like the closest that I could say, like profound Twitter quotes that are put into books, it's so incredible that these philosophical quotes are actually working for Mark, because for Mark, this is something that he has never heard of, right? For Mark, this is like, oh, I never thought about that before, because that is his life in Lumen, he does not get exposed to these sorts of statements, right? These sorts of thinking, if you will. You know, like it's almost as if, well, it's not as if, it's very evident, you know, that Lumen is kind of, in a way, Lumen is prohibiting these sorts of ideas to fester into your mind, right? It's one of the reasons why, you know, outside books are banned in the Severed Floor, right? A lot of, you know, themes of authoritarianism, you know, the government is controlling what you consume, right? In this case, Lumen is controlling what you consume and what you think. You know, you're not allowed to have, you know, a critical thinking to the point of going against the company wishes and the company ideology and whatever. Like, it's so fascinating. It's so really, really well done. It's so cool. And it works in this in the sense that scene is both comedic and also just inspirational at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's great. It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. It's great. I love this episode. Really good episode. A lot of developments happening. Cannot wait to watch, I guess, the rest of the series. Again, halfway point of season 1. Cannot wait to watch the rest. The second half of the of the first season. Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in. See you all next time for the next episode reaction. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. Peace.